This is the Tropic Pianist Gamers podcast, episode 27, Resolutions versus Intentions. It seems fitting that at the start of January we're thinking about New Year's resolutions, but I've also seen many posts saying that they don't do New Year's resolutions, but they do set intentions. I am one of those people, but I'll explain why in this episode. For as long as I can remember, dating back to probably my mid-teens, I would always make the New Year's resolution to lose weight and would never be able to achieve it. I was always disappointed at the end of the year that, yet again, I consider myself fat and out of shape. But then I'd set again the next New Year and do exactly the same pattern on repeat. I would also set resolutions like sort life out, but knowing that now, on reflection, that was too vague. How exactly do I plan on sorting my life out? How exactly do I plan on losing weight? They were all resolutions thrown into the air with no purpose or substance to them, and that was the problem with New Year's resolutions. In lockdown, when I started my self-development journey, when I learnt all about mindset and resilience and positive thinking, it came up that New Year's resolutions were overrated. Why don't you try setting intentions instead? And when I did my goal setting course with Heather Palfirman of More Than Just Mum and vision boarding with Lisa Williams, I learned how to set realistic goals that were manageable. And from about 2021 onwards, I kept smashing goals month on month. And they were the intentions that I set, not the resolutions. Intentions for me set more of a grounding for what you intend to do. It has purpose behind it, and you can put in the steps that you need to achieve that intention or that goal. So, when I say I want to lose weight this year, I think about how I'm going to lose weight, what I need to do fitness-wise, what I need to do nutrition-wise, and work out an actual plan from month to month about how I plan to achieve my target weight. So far, I managed to achieve it in 2021, but as lockdown opened up into normal-ish life again, I'd managed to lose 2 stone or 13 kilograms before lockdown, and I lost a third of 3 kilograms or about half a stone when it was actual lockdown. And I was feeling pretty confident about myself, and I had my confidence back through leggings and popsy dresses, and I was feeling quite good about myself. And then 2022 hit and everyone started meeting up again, and that involved me networking a lot because I'd learnt how to network virtually in lockdown, and I was ready to do it in real life and in person from 2022. So with networking, ultimately came coffee or lunch or both in some cases, often ice cream if I'd been for a walk, and it all adds up. And I wasn't losing the weight. In fact, I was putting a stone back on gradually. I've not actually put the full 2 stone back on, but I'm about halfway back and I want to reverse that back to 2021 standards. But in order to do that, I need to basically restrict myself. But the nutrition experts tell you don't restrict yourself, everything in moderation, which is my mantra through life anyway. That's what my mum taught me, everything in moderation is okay. So technically, when I go forward in 2024, I still want to do all the networking, but I need to be mindful more so of what I'm eating and how I'm eating and how many times I go out in a month or a week even. I need to up the walking again, so when the weather gets colder, it does put me off going out for walks. But last year I also set the intention to do minimum 12 park runs. Having started parkrun just before lockdown, I got 2 parkruns in at Penryn Castle just before lockdown hit. I did try again in 2022, but I only really made a serious intention for 2023, and that was to run a minimum of 12 parkruns across the year, allowing for 1 in a month, because the previous year, 2022, I'd tried to do parkrun as much as I could, but I dropped off in August as the weather started to get colder and I wouldn't get out of bed. I used to blame external factors like my kid, who was 5 at the time, not sleeping through the night or waking me up too early, so I'd use the opportunity to stay in bed on a Saturday morning, especially if it was raining or suggesting it might rain, which is why in 2023 I set that intention to do minimum 12 park runs. So that could have been 4 in June but none in December. But in actual fact, I think I managed to do at least one a month, because I ended on 19 park runs for the year. So I smashed my goal of doing 12 and set my sights on getting 30 VO2 max according to my Apple Watch in cardio fitness. Now, when I stopped in August 2022 and didn't do any park runs for the rest of the year, when I picked up my watch in January 2023, it actually told me off for my cardio fitness being too low. It was rated at 22, and that was not good for my health. So I wanted to do something about that. And when I smashed my goal of doing 12 park runs, I thought, why not aim for 30 VO2 max by the end of 2023? And I was getting there. I was about 27.5, and then I got ill with a stomach bug, a cold, and I actually had a fall in November, so that set me back quite a long way in fitness. But I'd also just finished my sponsored yoga challenge, which took place across October 2023. So I was also feeling my most flexible and strong that I had done in a long while, because I hadn't been consistent with the yoga. But halfway through October, whilst doing my yoga challenge, I'd been basing it on an Apple Fitness Plus free trial that I'd had, and I was sad to see that it had ended halfway through the month. So I got premium for the year because it worked out the best value offer, and that meant that I had to justify the subscription by using it more. So I made the intention after the yoga challenge to get consistent with Apple Fitness Plus workouts, focusing on yoga. Obviously in November that dropped for a couple of weeks while I tried to recover from the various illnesses that I'd caught. But at least I was clear for December, because I played my first ever in-person Christmas concert on the 9th of December, and I was that worried that I'd still be ill by the 9th of December. I did all I could to try and recover, even if that meant exercising less than just resting or playing video games in my case. So by the time December came round and my concert and all the Christmas dues I was due to attend, I was in perfect health again and it was fine, but I'd lost the consistency with the exercise. I was a bit gutted in a way, because I'd been consistent with my exercise regime since October 2019, when I'd had that wake-up call and started playing Ring Fit Adventure, which changed my life. I subsequently moved on to different fitness games. I was currently on Samba de Amigo, which was a rhythm dancing game, and Fitness Circuit, which is based on circuits but via Nintendo Switch. So I made a point of getting back on that in mid-December and tried to do that most days, although it recommends 3 times a week, so then I settled on 3 times a week and then tried to go for walks for the other days of the week. It worked to a point, but then when I was away last week in the beginning of January, I was at my parents' house and it rained solid for 3 days. So I did manage to get out during one of the days with an umbrella because it wasn't windy and it was raining. I'd actually forgotten umbrellas existed, which was quite funny, but my dad gave me one to take home with me. If anyone is familiar with North Wales, you know that when it rains it's usually windy, so that's probably why I forgot umbrellas existed, because they're not that practical up in North Wales. But I took it anyway and humoured him. Starting January though, I decided to do a fitness challenge and open it up to anyone who wanted to join. I'd actually done the same fitness challenge back in January 2022 for Nintendo North Wales people, but it was kind of done manually in a way because we used the Discord channel as the main source of motivation, and I'd logged into an app called Challenges, which was recommended by Lucy Lockett Loves, the legging company that I collect leggings from. And they did a challenge that year because it was just out of lockdown and they wanted to get people motivated and into a routine, and it worked for me at the time, and I thought I'd recreate that for January 2024 but open it up to anyone who wanted to join, because the previous challenge I only had 3 people on the app who were with me. So this time I've got 25 people entering and everyone's racing to get the most points across the month of January, which is fantastic for getting into a kind of routine, because you start doing the habit and it takes roughly 2 to 3 weeks to forge that habit into your routine. And once you've got that routine, at least in my case, I don't need the motivational push to keep doing it, because I'm known as a queen of consistency. And once I've got the habit into my routine, I will be consistent unless something throws me off, like a 2-week illness, for example. But I know that I can get back on it if I do something like a challenge and get other people involved. Usually when I'm doing fitness stuff, I don't need an accountability buddy. I don't do accountability generally because I'm self-motivated. I'm in a lot of network groups where they do actually do accountability calls to make sure people stay on task throughout the week, and I tend to join them for the laughs because I don't need the motivation. People wonder how I'm self-motivated, and all it is for me is I have a zest for life. I'm living through my passions, and that's all I need to keep going every day, day in, day out, no matter what the weather, no matter what the season. And no matter whether you're a business owner or not, remembering your why is super important. Why do you exist? Why do you do what you do? And my reason is because I was not able to be myself for so long. After 20 years plus of bullying through childhood and adulthood, I'm finally able to be myself and live through my passions, and that is my why. Yes, I have a 6-year-old child, but he is not my why. He's my reason for keeping going, but he's not my why. My why is me. So that leads me on to my other New Year's resolution that I mentioned previously. Sort my life out. How did I sort my life out? Well, my life was a mess for many years because of anxiety. I was scared of everything and everyone at some point, and I was afraid to take opportunities. I was afraid of failing. I was afraid of being a disappointment. You name it, I was afraid of it. How did I sort myself out? I discovered self-development in lockdown and worked on my mindset and my resilience and my positive outlook on life. And that was the year I sorted my life out, so to speak. That reminds me of a message that my ex-boyfriend sent to me when we split up, just before I got together with Dr. G. And the boyfriend said to me, he knows where he wants to be in life, he just doesn't know how to get there. That was me at the time. I hated being in the anxious hole and I didn't know how to get out of it. But I did find a way out of it in the end, through self-development and mindset work. Resources from Facebook, because it was lockdown. I didn't have any other options, but there was an abundance of information and resources on Facebook. You just have to know where to look. If you don't know where to look, start networking and eventually you'll find and tap into the things you need to find. That's how I started, networking. And I network wherever I can and whenever I can these days. I'm always happy to make connections and collaborate with people. So my intentions for 2024 may be to lose a bit of weight, but it is more about gaining the proper nutrition without restricting myself and getting consistent again with the fitness and doing the right type of fitness for my health and well-being. On the business side of my intentions for 2024 are to work more on my podcast and building my presence as a pianist up. With my podcast, I'm looking for sponsorship for the rest of 2024 on a monthly basis as a one-off payment. Shortly you'll hear from my first sponsor of 2024. But for now, if you'd like to sponsor me, get in touch via any channel. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, as @TropicPianistGamer. Just get in touch and I'll happily help you. Likewise, if you'd like to be a guest on my podcast, just get in touch via the usual channels and hopefully I can fit you into one of my themes throughout the year. Thank you for listening to this podcast episode. Don't forget to let me know how you found it by reviewing the episode on your chosen platform. This podcast episode has been sponsored by Jackie Thompson Hypno Wellbeing. Jackie is a midlife specialist working predominantly online with women, both individuals and groups, helping them to navigate the difficulties that midlife can bring. This is what she had to say. Hello, I'm Jackie. How can I help you? I wish someone had asked me that back in 2010 when life became almost unbearable. Something had to change, but I had no idea what or how. I didn't even know who I was anymore. The one thing I did know was that nothing would change if I didn't change it, so I changed everything. I moved away from everyone and everything I knew, and I started again. It was tough. My children had left home. I was stuck in a job that I'd never liked. Personally, I felt like a victim. I'd been let down, I'd been hurt, I'd been abused, I'd been broken. I didn't know what to do. I'd been interested in spirituality and the mind-body connection for as long as I could remember, and eventually realising that I had the opportunity to now create my own life, I fell into a spiritual community, which opened me up to the possibility that my life could be different. I attended lots of workshops and courses, gradually finding bits of me again, until I did the Heal Your Life workshop leader training and everything dropped into place. I realised I didn't like myself, and I certainly didn't love myself and hadn't for a very long time. That week was the turning point for me, and my healing really began. More training followed that, and then the hypnotherapy training, and now I help people just like you find their way through life's challenges too. So if you need help with your well-being, maybe calming anxiety, overcoming fears, changing thoughts and habits, or dealing with life stage anxieties, relationship changes, self-esteem or confidence, I'm here. And I'll help you to love yourself again so you can live a fuller life without unnecessary fear or self-sabotage. Sessions are held face-to-face in a comfortable, safe and relaxed environment, or online in a private Zoom room, and you are completely in control throughout. Each session is completely confidential and tailored to meet your specific requirements. Book a free, no obligation 30-minute call or email me for a chat and find out how I can help you. You can find Jackie Thompson at jackiethompson.com. You can email her at jackie@jackiethompson.com. And she's also on various social media platforms, which I will list in the description of this podcast. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.